Guys. Hey, Rona. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I don't know whether I'm coming or going, but that's how it is. Hi, Ken. Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Morning, Bennett, Rona, Kelly.
Ken, hi. Hi, Rona.
Hi.
Um, s I think Della Oka is gonna join us. She's gonna be part of your committee. I haven't heard back from those two other people that are outside of our community. This is a small group because this is like a training for our performance management committee.
Mhm.
And
You
I'm
wanna wait?
actually,
Oh, okay. You wanna wait for
yeah,
Della, Bennett? Okay,
yeah, I'm gonna reach out to her and see,
okay.
make sure that she is aware.
Kelly, how did you get that background photo? Is that the Nepali coast of Kauai?
Yeah. Wow, Ken, very good. Very astute of you.
Well, I figured Kauai boy, right, Kelly? So
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
took
Oh no, we just, I think, I don't know, I think it's like we found it on the internet or
Oh,
something. Yeah.
I haven't figured that out. I need a good IT guy, Kelly, to help me put a better background than what I've got here in my blurred out office.
Uh, happy to help you, Ken.
My daughter's the IT guru in the family.
Oh, excellent. Well, it's 10 o'clock. It's 10, Chair. So shall I my
Sure.
name?
It's your
Okay.
meeting, Kelly.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so good morning. Hi, Doug. And thanks for joining today's Performance Management and Technology Committee meeting at the Workforce Development Council. I think we have a full agenda today. So I'll call the meeting to order at 10:01 a.m. I mean, for those who don't know, I'm Kelly, and I'm chairing the committee alongside Sean Knox, who unfortunately he can't. He's traveling out of state today, so he'll be here for the next meeting. And then just disclosing that it's a public meeting under the open meeting law, and the members and guests viewing in Zoom. And I think, yeah, I don't know if anybody's at the office in room 317.
We have it available though, Chair.
Oh yeah, if
Yeah.
anybody wants to meet, it would be room 317. Um, maybe if we want to quickly, I think we have to introduce ourselves and then also disclosing that the meeting is being recorded. So I'm Kelly Ueoka, the president of PAXA. And I'll turn it to Ken. I'll go in the Zoom order if you guys don't mind. I'll turn it to Ken.
Ken Louie, CEO of Civic Marine and chair of the WDC.
And then Rona.
Hi, Rona Fukumoto, President CEO of Laniquila Pacific. And yeah.
Thanks, Rona. And then Doug.
Yes, thank you, Doug Adams, Director of Research and Development, County Hawaii, and Mayor's Designate to the WDC.
Thanks for joining, Doug. And then, of course, Bennett.
Bennett Misalucha, Executive Director, Workforce Development Council.
Okay, so yeah, with that, I'll turn it over to you, Bennett, if you had any updates to
Yes,
provide.
definitely. I think there's also Melissa Robbins, Chair, because she's doing the
Oh, I'm
training for us.
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is she? Oh, I didn't. Oh, okay. Hi, sorry, Melissa. Did you wanna introduce yourself briefly? I don't see her. I don't
Oh,
see. Yeah.
she was there a minute ago. Okay, all right. Let me go ahead because they're supposed to be doing the training, and that's
Right.
why this is a small group. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. I'm gonna be very quick because I'm looking at this crowd. You have at one point or another attended a committee meeting, and it's pretty much the same update. And I think some of you may even be part of the, let's see, is that Melissa? Somebody joined us. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna again be very quick about this because I know that many of you have had the opportunity to listen to the update, and we talked about the unified plan, about how we're going to be um, making sure that it's implemented and that we are not just putting it as part of the public sector responsibility, but really mapping it out also for the rest of the workforce stakeholder group in our community. We're transitioning from a effective July 1st, where we're going to be to have our own program ID as well as additional staff as well as additional um, uh, budgets. However, that's still a lot of it is in influx. So there's a transition plan that we're going to be working on for the next few months, and hopefully, with the support and cooperation of the Workforce Development Division, the transition will be seamless. We have some upcoming events, particularly in September. We have a Future of Work conference as well as the Workforce Development Heroes. We're also working on the long-term care workforce task force. So, and for the next quarter, we will have the implementation of the state unified plan, and then of course strengthening our board committees, where we have several of our committees that are doing a reset and with great initial outcomes. We're also strengthening our local boards and working collaboratively with them, making sure that they have the necessary tools to be able to do their roles and responsibility well. As part of our intentions, we're hoping to focus on improving our American Job Centers. They are the first line of defense for us, and we've actually gotten some good feedback in the roundtable discussion that we had at the Special Projects Committee, and there's going to be a part two of that discussion. And again, from those, we hope to be able to pick up some gems that could allow us to improve our performance. Chair, that's all I have for now.
Thanks, Bennett. If anybody had any questions, yeah, any comments or questions, please ask. Otherwise, the board is relatively new. I mean, and it's such a small group, but I think primarily for the folks on the committee, we asked the Department of Labor for additional training, and I think that's where we focus on the performance measurements. I mean, we kind of went through some exercises in the past on what we're actually measuring and what metrics we were trying to what key metrics we're looking for. And that's per guidance from the Department of Labor. And we kind of briefly touched on it at the board-wide training in June. And that, Bennett labeled it as Performance Management 101, but I think today would have been a deeper dive. So Bennett, I don't know if they're here, but
They are.
okay, great.
Chair, if
Yeah.
you don't mind, I think there are other people who have joined us as well. And so for the sake of minutes, we need to be able to acknowledge them.
Oh yeah,
So
sure.
there's
I can.
Albert Vargas and Frank. Go ahead. Yeah, Chair, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'll go in the order of the Zoom if you guys don't mind introducing yourselves. Albert. You unmute if you're trying to speak, Albert. Okay, I can move on. How about Frank? Are you there?
Hi, my name's Frank. Me and Albert are actually together. We're both from Speaker Psyche's office.
Oh,
We just saw the agenda. We're interested in viewing.
Wonderful.
okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And then with that, I'll turn it to Melissa.
Hi, my name is Melissa Robbins. I am with the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals. I was with you guys in Hawaii at the end of June. So just continuing to stay engaged as you guys work through this process.
Thank you, Melissa. Anybody else? Director, I think that's everybody. So
Ken, I think we have David Rodriguez also, I show on the call.
well, I don't.
Yeah.
I see. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he-
sorry. I'm so sorry. Hi, Mr. Rodriguez.
Hello, David Rodriguez, Director's Office, BLAR.
Okay, thank you. I think that's everybody. Yeah, we got everybody. I don't know if there's anybody in the conference rooms. If you are, can you please introduce yourself? Yeah, otherwise I think we can move on. Bennett.
Okay. At this juncture, like I said, SAFO partners, Melissa, are you ready to present? This is on performance measures. I had spoken to Lisa about this.
Yep. I am not actually the presenter for this one. So let me.
Okay,
let
you know
me
what?
keep-
Go
let
ahead,
me
go ahead
keep
and
these up.
yeah. In the meantime, maybe I can just go on to the next item on the agenda while yeah. No worries. It happens.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, while we wait, Bennett, if you um the next
Yeah.
item on the agenda was the
Financials.
presentation of the financial reports. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair. Let me go ahead and do that. And hopefully, I also have. Can you see the Excel spreadsheet? Is that what you're seeing on your screen, or are you still seeing my?
Yes.
Okay,
Not
all
the
right.
spreadsheet.
All right, so this is very interesting. I wanted to, this is the first time that we're actually going to be sharing some of a little bit more in depth. And let me just do a view of, okay. Okay. So the Performance Management Committee is really tasked to go over the financial fiscal reports preparatory to the executive committee, which would also be going through this, over this, and then also then it will then be forwarded to the full board, which meets on August 22nd. So mahalo to Lena Rivera, who is our administrative fiscal officer assigned to WDC, and she produced these reports. So I will go over this and I will entertain the questions afterwards. But this is really a very interesting viewpoint on where we're at as far as our federal funds are concerned. Let me maybe start with the fact that PY21, so as a background first. So the federal funds that we are given through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act is given to us, and we're supposed to spend it within 3 years. So as soon as it is given, it's brought to the local workforce boards, and they have 2 years to spend the monies, after which it goes back to the state, and that is called recaptured funds. And we have another year to spend the money. Whatever excess or whatever extra then goes back to the US Department of Labor. Obviously, the intent is to make sure that we're able to spend down all those funds and that nothing goes back to the federal government, because as it is, we have needs, and these are resources that are provided for us. As it is, however, there have been cases, and I'm going to share with you in a minute what the scenario is, where we seem to have some lagging in the spending of those monies. So let me provide you, this is an overview of the grants that we have as of 5/31/2024. So mind you, PY 2021, again, is already POW. So whatever we did not
Is that
spend,
among the conference call?
hello? Yeah, whatever we did not spend is already done. Okay, so as of, this is breakdown according to the various local boards. So PY 2021, it was we had a total of about 6 million, almost 7 million, and we spent about 4.9, and the recaptured funds that were given to the state was 1.7. So this is the breakdown of what it is. So adults, youth, and dislocated workers. So we had spent, just as a summary, we had 126,824 that was remaining after spending whatever we needed to spend. So as of 5/31/2024, we had 126,000 left. However, my understanding is out of this, there are still some expenses that are outstanding. And as a result, we probably will have about 80,000 that will be returned to the feds as much as possible. Now, bottom line is we don't want that, but unfortunately it is what it is. And that is the situation for PY 2021. For PY 2022, again, thinking back about the 3 years that I mentioned. So PY 2021, by 2024, it's all done. Whatever is not spent goes back. So for PY 2022, the counties have had 2 years to spend it. And so we're now in the middle of the state being able, having the access to those funds.
Annette?
So yes,
Annette?
go ahead.
I would just clarify that the counties did not have 2 years, right? We had
Yes,
a year.
definitely. In fact, I'm going to go into
Thank you.
that. In fact, I will explain a little bit about why it is what it is and what were some of the contributing factors that definitely, and the reason why I'm also sharing this, Doug, is to set the groundwork as to what it is, so that hopefully as we switch to the fact that WDC will now become the administrative entity, we will see an improvement as well. And again, we're making sure that when we share this information, we're not casting any blame or anything like that on anyone, because it is a situation that needs to be remedied, but definitely there are some steps that we could take to improve the situation. So be that as it may, let me go ahead and proceed. So with that in mind, for PY 2022, we were provided 8.7 million. And as you can see, the breakdown there, the county spent as much as they did, and then there is a remaining 4.3 million that is left for the state to spend in what they calls recaptured funds. These funds for PY 2022 will lapse by 6/30/2025. That leaves us 11 months or so to be able to spend those monies. If not, it needs to go back to the federal government. So if you take a look at PY 2023, there a year into that, and as far as the expenditures, the counties have not starting to spend that because it's only started, right? July 1 is when it started. So they have not accumulated the expenses, the necessary expenses. Let me go back to what Doug had mentioned. What had happened in the past is that even though it's a 2-year cycle where the counties have been given 2 years to spend it, unfortunately, because of contracts, the contracts took a long time with, I guess, under WDD. And for one reason or another, whatever the reasons may be, they have not been able to start accessing the funds until a year into the 2 years. And so they were left scrambling. And I guess there were some issues on, whatever it may be, accounting, and as a result, this has led to them not being able to spend the funds. And Doug, please feel free to jump in and share how, what the situation is, because if the executive directors are here, they'll be all over trying to explain this as well, because that is really something that we have talked about, and we hope that it can be remedied by the fact that if we are able to plan ahead, we won't be in the same predicament where we can have the contracts hopefully be in a situation, a holding pattern, so that when it's actually, when the time is up, we can execute the contract in an appropriate manner and appropriate time. Hey, Harrison is here as well, and Melissa is here as well. So Melissa, you have you raised your hand. Go ahead. Maybe additional comments. Yeah.
Yes, so just to clarify this PY 23, and as a committee, what you guys should be noticing, that those PY 23 funds actually should have been made available to the local areas 7/1 of 2023. So the local areas should have had those already available to them for over a year. Now,
Yes.
there are different reasons as to why there's no expenses at this point. One of which Bennett has explained is the delayed contracting and availability to the local areas. Again, as a suggestion of the committee, this would definitely be a place where as a committee member, I would push back and say, why are there zero expenditures after an entire year? Because at this point now, the locals only have 1 year to spend those, and then we get into another reallocation. So again, just really leaning heavily into that. We need to make them available, not just make them available timely, but it gives the locals a good way of just planning their service delivery.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would make one comment as well that, as I understand it, and actually, Harrison's the expert on this, but as I understand it, we were not able to actually access the PY 23 funds. Even if it was available to us, we wouldn't be able to access it unless we had actually gone through our PY 22 funds. So you would see zero expenditures associated with PY 23 if we are not zeroed out in a particular
PY year.
in PY 22.
Yeah. So we're hoping that with some advanced planning, we can be in a situation where we're not caught with the situation again, where we have, the counties only have 1 year to spend. Even if you have not spent the prior year, at least it's accessible to them if need be. So with that in mind, we're going to be able to do some pre-planning, again, looking ahead, maybe looking at the contracts and the items that need to be taken care of ahead of time, so that by July 1st, you have a contract that's almost fully executed, and with some modification, because obviously the allocations have to be there, all the necessary attendant, even the budgets have to be in place. But then all the other elements are already in place, so it makes it a lot easier than starting from scratch, or whatever may be involved. Harrison, do you have any other additional comments? Because this is a situation that needs to be remedied, but it's not beyond repair.
I think I just think that it's just history, like what Doug said. We've got to spend, because that 1 year overlaps, PY 23's first year overlaps with PY 22's second year. That if we don't spend all the funds, yeah, we don't have access to it, even though we have a contract. I believe this past year we've had the PY 23 funds available to us since February, but we just couldn't use it because we had just so much funds. We do have action plans. I think for us, one of the big deals was budget modifications, and we're actually reporting to our board more often when it comes to financials. For about 2 or 3 years, we didn't have any finance committee meetings until last year. So, we're putting our pieces into place to spend all the funding. We saw PY 24 is a little bit less than PY 23, but working with our American Job Center, we've got a pretty good plan to spend all the funding this year.
Yeah. And I know, again, there were a lot of things that contributed to it. And you couldn't spend the 2022 funds first because you were just a year into it, right? So again, you were caught in that whirlwind. So hopefully, moving forward, we're going to be in a better situation. Okay, so moving on, any other questions on, this is the WIOA funds, but I wanted to also provide you with the 2 other grants that are very important. One is the Quest grant, and this is for the COVID funds. And we had a total of, for the branches alone, we had 3.7 million. And then for the local areas, 4.8 million. For the branches, they still have an 2.4 million that was in excess. And for the local areas, they had a balance of 3.8. This was supposed to lapse on September 2024 this year. However, there is a waiver that was proposed, and it was I talked to the U.S. Department of Labor, and they said it is in its final stages, and it's more likely going to be extended so that the funds are not lapsing until September of next year, 2025. So hopefully, with that in mind, both the Workforce Development Division branches as well as the local areas will be able to spend it. In addition to that, there were other contractual services. The Chamber of Commerce was given about 800,000 of those funds, and Kalaimoku, which is a public information company, also was given a portion of that, of the grant. So the total grant amount was about 10.5 million. So we have about 7 or so million that is still available. Okay, so this is the Lahaina fires. This is interesting. So when Lahaina fires happened, we were given a grant by the U.S. Department of Labor, and of the 15 million that was provided for us, we have so far only spent 3.5 million. So there's about 11.6 million that is still outstanding, that is still available, and it will lapse by 2025. I think we had Debbie Kabibi, who is the Maui Economic Development Board or Opportunity, who was at our meeting a couple of board meetings ago, and she explained that with so much funding in Lahaina for the Lahaina workers, it was difficult to spend down the monies. And I'm actually thinking that perhaps we should connect with some of our, states which have had some disasters and probably ask their experiences as to how they were able to, pay down or spend down the monies. As this time, again, this is for your information. Certainly, we need to be able to look deeper into this, and perhaps this performance management committee will be the committee where, we would be able to look at this, make some recommendations. However, there are other committees that could probably participate in that discussion as well. Ken, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the information, Bennett. Question on your spreadsheet there. So the balance of, let's say, $11.7 million, that'll lapse, you're saying it will lapse in a year. Who has oversight and responsibility for spending that money? State
that's
agency or department?
That's actually Workforce Development Division. So I asked about, I asked Anthony, our program officer, because this is the first time, again, we're seeing this. We have not been privy to this financials before. But he said that even though, because I'm used to seeing the WIOA reports, but he said that WDC actually has oversight of any funds that come from the U.S. Department of Labor in terms of not just WIOA, his specific. Okay, let me just find out. He said something about that the WDC should be aware of all this, because when you think about the other funds that are working, we need to be able to work in tandem so that then there's no overlaps and there's no gaps. So he said it's good practice to be able to have the council know the total financial picture, the total fiscal picture. So that's why this is being shared. Let me go ahead and share with you one other spreadsheet. Let me see.
Director, sorry, Director Bennett. I think,
Yes.
Carol, did you have a question? I saw your hand raised there briefly.
Yeah, I did have my hand raised. And so with regard to the Maui National Disaster Grant, that is something actually we're doing really well with. It's not reflected in that, but keep in mind that our contract with MEO, Maui Economic Opportunity, began October 1. Yes. And from October 1, they already had geared up and had started enrolling. And so they're spending right now. It took a while, and any new program takes a while to set up and get things in place. And so they really have geared up. Their expenditure rate is quite high now. So we do anticipate using all the funds. We do keep in touch with the Maui State, California State, because they've had disaster grants and they've had wildfires too. So we've been in touch with them, thanks to Anthony who put in touch. And so we've gotten a lot of expertise from them as well, and some good advice about it. So we think we'll be on track with this particular grant. As for the Quest grant, we have monthly meetings with each of our subrecipients on it. And the enrollment has taken a while. And now, though, the word has gone out because we have a contractor to publicize it. So we have the word out there, and people are coming in to get services. So with the no-cost extension of a year, we believe we'll be fine. We're going to reallocate some of the money, though, that from the local areas that have been unable to spend it. So we've been talking to each of these counties, Maui and Big Island. Oahu really has ramped up a lot. So we're probably going to be reallocating some of the unspent funds in those local areas with Oahu and just reallocating it to them. And then for Big Island, they weren't able to get a provider for the county. So that's something that's going to be remedied pretty soon, though.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you being here because, I'm not as familiar with what WDD has been doing. So thank you for that clarification. So I'm going to go ahead, Chair, and now share additional information on. Hang on. Can you see the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the one that these are for the regular WIOA funds, Title I. So again, let me provide you the background that this is, we're now on PY 2022 because PY 2021 is POW. So this is the allocated amounts for each of the counties for PY 2022. Remember, this is the one that is now available to the state as part of the recaptured funds. So for PY 2022, if you take a look, this is only for youth. So what it is we have certain allocations out of the, let's say, $10 million grant. Some of it is allocated for youth, some are for adults, some are dislocated workers. So here we go. So for the youth, and this was presented actually to the Youth Services Committee, and for the year we had 2.9 million that was allocated to several of the or all of our counties. And of that, they had spent as of 5/31/24, 1.3 million. So there is about 1.5 million that is in recaptured funds, meaning the counties have returned that to the state and the state has 1 year to spend the money. This is the ratio of expended funds. And if you take a look, Maui has done the best in terms of having spent their allocation at 69%. And the one that needs most improvement is Kauai. This is the one that's a little disconcerting, and I think is an area for improvement. When you take a look at the number of participants served for our youth, we had 95 for the island of for Oahu, 79 for the Big Island, 29 for Maui, and 4 for Kauai. Mind you, these are for 2 years, PY 2022 and PY 2023. So when you look at the cost per participant, it is significant. So for Oahu, it's about 8,900. For Big Island, it's significantly lower, 3,200. For Maui, it's 8,500, and for Kauai, with all the administrative costs and everything else, and then you apply the ratio with the number of participants that they had served, it's about 10,000 per youth. So here is the numbers for our adults. So for adults, we had about 3.5 million that was allocated for the counties. They spent about 2 million, so about 1.5 are remaining. And the spend rate is about, again, Kauai is lagging behind, and the one with the best spend rate so far has been the Big Island. And this is the number of participants that they've had. So this is slightly or a lot better than the youth sector. So they had 450 participants for Oahu, 241 for the Big Island, 119 for Maui, and 18 for Kauai. And the cost per participant averages about, 2,500 more or less, except for Kauai. What's good about this is there is a ray of sunshine, or I guess a ray of hope in the horizon. And I'm going to put Harrison on the spot to share some of the things that they're doing, because I think even from this year alone, starting July 1, they've had better numbers, and they hope that these numbers will actually improve by this year. Harrison, you want to take it from here?
I think, a lot was just getting the board involved. We had a lot of board members. We got 10 private sector board members on there. We got 16 of you guys in the WDC plus all the other partners. It was just, SAFA opened up a lot of people's eyes. Over the last few years, we had, our targets were really small. We were looking at like serving 70 people. We were happy spending half the money. You know, it was at our level at the board that we didn't really set a good example at all. What we were looking to try and do right now is, Carol actually had a training back in June where all the boards kind of focused on, what the cost per participants were, and I believe Maui was 5,000 for adult, for training and dislocated workers. I believe the Big Island was about 5,000 also. But for us, I think what happened is we kind of crippled ourselves because we had limited our service provider a total of $4,000 per participant. And when I say total, it's for everything, ITA, non-ITA, support services, OJT. So they had $4,000 period. We are in the process of rewriting policies to allow, better pathways. So for youth, first of all, what we had found out, so we were working with our youth program, is we only had 4 main pathways for the youth to be involved in. So if they weren't interested in any of these pathways, we lost them. So one of the things that we're doing to improve next year or this year is to get more pathways. So the board now, we're involved with working with outreach, setting up our partners to come to our meetings like this to meet connections. So tomorrow, actually, no, sorry, Thursday, we have our sector strategies committee, and we're actually building a hospitality pathway for the youth. So that's something kind of exciting. For our adult programs, I believe prior year we had 70 participants and we increased it to 352, but a lot of it was due to outreach. So I know it's a little bit embarrassing, but outreach has always been, allowable in WIOA, and it's something that we haven't been pushing. So last year we wrote a business service policy, for the business service teams to go out. But what we did in this policy is we actually had that it was required that Title 1, 2, 3, and 4 had to work together. So, Title 1, there has to be someone from our team, someone from Wagner Piser's team, someone from adult ed, and then someone from DVR to work together, because everyone has their job developers, they have their workforce teams. And when we go out to businesses, nobody knows if you're state, city, alulike, nonprofit, right? And and WDC, I know you guys are going to put out a funding chart this year. And when you take a look at that funding chart, it's going to show about 150 organizations with federal funds. And a lot of our services are similar. So one of the things that we started doing too is our one-stop operator started hosting more partner meetings where they're together. Prior to last year, it was all one-on-one meetings. So no one really knew what everybody else was doing. Yeah, so we got that together. Our adult numbers, I'd say it looks fantastic. I believe if you add up what we did in this past year, it's more than the last 4 years combined. Our dislocated worker, those numbers are going to go up higher because Melissa and her team are going to teach us how to co-enroll adult and dislocated worker. I'm going to ask them for a training on that. So, another one is we're working with Carol and her team, to get military spouses in the dislocated worker program. And that's going to be huge. So we're hitting different target groups out there. And, we're experimenting, SAFO, USDOL, and Doug was in this meeting with us. They told us that you got to be innovative, right? So just because it hasn't done before, it doesn't mean you can't do it. We still got to get approval. And one of the other things too is our relationship with the board. Yeah, for a long time, the boards were kind of acting on their own. You guys, Ken, Bonnet, you guys are really good at bringing the boards together, bringing everybody together, seeing what everybody's doing. And I think that's actually a big plus is, where the Big Island Executive Director, Doug, Chantel on Maui, myself, my chair, where we can talk about things and see, back on June 9th, we had a really great conversation where Doug was there, Chantel was there, Clinton was there, USDOL was there. And we had 8 hours of discussion, right, Doug? You know, where we could talk about where our issues were, what we're having problems with, how we can fix things. And it was really good because everybody was there contributing, and it was like Burnett likes to say, a safe space, you know, where we could talk about anything. And that really helped. And Anthony, you know, he's a really good FPO. You know, they opened the doors to us, I believe, on June 9th to say, hey, now we can have direct contact with them as long as, you know, we keep the WDC involved with this. You know, so all of that contributes. I mean, we're trying to just get out of that silo. We're trying to do everything by ourselves and trying to get all of our partners involved. And I think that's what's been contributing. And don't get me wrong, my frontline staff, they work really hard. You know, I mean, they're the guys that do all the work, see all the participants, you know, but you know, without them, we wouldn't have any of these numbers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Harrison. I want to underscore that, you know, us revealing this statistics, this financials, we're not trying to point blame. We're not trying to establish, you know, dissension. It really is, this is all of our problem. Whatever we see here, whatever contributed to it, we all need to work together, WDD, WDC, the boards, and all the executive directors and relevant stakeholders, because we cannot lift this just by ourselves. So, and that's the reason why we need to establish a baseline of understanding. And that's why we're sharing this. Again, this is the first time that the Performance Management Committee has seen this, because for the benefit of Albert and Frank, you know, prior to this, we did not have any as much of a fiscal oversight, and but now, effective July 1st, since we have our own program ID, we're now able to, I guess, have a modicum of control over the destiny of what happens. But again, this is not to, you know, point blame. This is really, again, I want to continue to underscore that, because I think it's important to note that it would take all of us and all of our support and help to be able to make some important changes. So let me go ahead, if I can, to share the rest of the reports, because we have one more that we haven't gone through yet, which is the dislocated workers. So for that, we had a total of about 2 million that was allocated to the counties, and so far they have not spent the PY 2023 yet, just like the other youth and adults. So, and yet, even as we are trying to have them spend, or have the county spend the PI 2023, we already received the allocation for PY 2024. So this is just for youth. And again, this was, you know, we share this at the Youth Services Committee, and that's why I have access to this. So for the youth, the allocated amounts is about 1.7 for Oahu, 518,000 for Hawaii, 207 for Maui, and about a little bit over 100,000 for Kauai, for a total of 2.5. We actually had a reduction in our WIOA total funds. In the past, for the past 2 years, it was about 10 million, and this year we had about 9.3 million. So the counties are in the process of developing their budget. It's due August 1st to WDD. And, you know, hopefully we'll be able to, you know, now that we have full view of the, an awareness of where we're at, we're able to make some remedies, some strategies, some tactics that would enable us to improve our numbers as well as our fiscal positions.
Yeah, Chair, Executive Director, if I may.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just for info, in addition to the youth that you just identified for PY24, we did receive the WIOA Bulletin 324, which also gave us the allocation for the adult programs and for the dislocated worker programs. and for each of the counties. The other part of this is that, at least for our county, we went back to WDD to let them know that that actually it was a timeliness impossibility for us to get the budget to them by August 1. So we're in conversation with them about an appropriate timeline, which would probably be mid to late August for us to be able to get everything, because we have to run it through our committee and county board, as well as then through our routing within the county for the mayor to sign off on the budget. So they're aware of that, and we're working on making sure that we hit all of the gates that we're supposed to hit so that we can get the budget. The good thing, I think, is that we're well ahead in PY 24 of where we were in PY 23 and 22. And so that's a good sign.
Thank you, Doug. Yeah, I know the bulletin was issued July 16, and yeah, the budget is due August 1st. And I know even for Maui, they had to do special meetings to be able to, yeah, take care of some things. But anyway, be that as it may, there are other questions from those attending this committee meeting. So with that, Chair, I think, you know, whatever suggestions you may have on formatting, I'm happy to, you know, take them and adapt them, because we will be then presenting the same financials to the executive committee, who I'm sure will have, you know, similar questions as yours, and then to the full board meeting on August 22nd.
Yeah, so Bennett, I mean, I'm happy to help, and can we work together to, I think, craft a, you know, presentation format for the
Sure.
performance? And, you know, I think we got the crash course a while back on the actual metrics, right, that we should be mindful of in line with the expenditures. So yeah, I think prior to the next the future meeting, we'll have that in order, and then we can present to the committee and then to the, you know, the full board at the later time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair.
Okay.
I
Then
think
yeah,
we can
no
go
other
back to
questions?
Melissa. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if no other questions, then yeah, and if Melissa, you're ready to present something to us, then please take it away.
So full disclosure, and Vanette, I've been trying to get a hold of Melissa and Lisa. There was somebody else scheduled to give the performance training. I was just here to answer fiscal questions as they arise. So I'm gonna have to have them get back with you
okay.
about that training. But I would just kind of conclude my portion, unless you have additional fiscal questions. I think we talked through all of the reports, you know, making sure everybody understands how long the money is available to Hawaii at the local level and then the state level. I think there was a really good question asked when we were talking about the disaster grant for the Lahaina fires, that maybe putting some sort of note to the side on who is responsible. So, you know, what is contracted out, right? What is contracted out and what is actually under the control of the state would be helpful too. Particularly like Doug and Harrison, who are on the call, because they can give you benchmark updates on their local areas and how that spending is going. And Vanette, we can work on those reports too for, you know, some potential examples.
Melissa, I'm sorry, I had a question. I heard you make a statement about the funding becoming available to the county in July. Is that what I heard? Or there was a timing thing. How is that determination made? Like when it actually becomes available?
So that's a really good question, and we use July 1 as a standard. That does vary just a little bit. For instance, the youth funds actually are available in April of of that year. It's the adult and dislocated worker that should be made available to the state by Department of Labor July 1st of every year. Now sometimes that does vary, you know, by a couple days, a couple weeks. The announcement on how much money the state of Hawaii is going to make, and all other states and territories, normally comes out in May or early June. So it gives you guys a little bit of time to help prepare. It also helps the local areas have a little bit of time to prepare and see what's coming. But in a perfect world, the local areas would have 2 full years, so 24 months to be able to spend that money. So PY 23, they should be a year into that. You're exactly correct that you can't start using it until you've used all of your old money. But I think what we're seeing is kind of a problem that has been stacked on itself for a little bit. So you guys are working to rectify that, and it'll be better. But then from the state's perspective, and this committee specifically, as you guys deal with performance and fiscal, you guys having a good discussion on how to use those recaptured funds to be able to talk to the executive committee or the full board on how the state is going to use that. So I think that there's been maybe some confusion on who is responsible for how that spending is going to happen. And, you know, just some discussions that you guys can have on how to use that money to benefit Hawaii as a state.
Could you clarify, because I know we had talked about it in a training, but perhaps this is a new set of people and they may not necessarily understand in terms of the role of the board for recaptured funds and also the allocated formulas.
Yeah, absolutely. So the TECOs that come out, the training and employment guidance letters that come out from Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration, a lot of times they'll say that the governor or the board is responsible for a certain task. You know, a lot of times it'll say the governor is the chief local elected official. In this case, it is the board who is responsible for setting up those allocation formulas. Now, you will most likely have staff who do that. Somebody in Lynn's group, Lena, you know, Bennett will have staff that actually work through that, but they should be coming to the board, coming to you and presenting it to you to say, hey, when the state of Hawaii gets $10 million, this is how we allocate it between Hawaii, Oahu, Maui, Kauai. And so you guys have a good understanding of why does Oahu get more money, right? Why does maybe Maui get more money in youth and dislocated worker? And I'm just making these up, but regardless, the board should be aware of how those allocation formulas work. And so to clarify what Bennett said or answer your question, Bennett, yes, the state board does need to be aware and is ultimately responsible for that. How that normally works in everyday life is a staff member works through the calculations and then presents that to the board so you guys have an understanding of how it works.
Thank you, Melissa. Any other questions? Chair, I don't know what happened. I did reach out to SAFL and I thought there was somebody who was coming. In fact, I circled back, but it's okay. It is what it is. So Chair, I don't have any other.
Okay.
I think Rona.
Yeah, Rona has a
Rona,
question.
go ahead.
So I was trying to find my buttons, but Melissa, I think you're talking about the allocation of the initial funding. What is the role of the board for the recaptured funds? Is it the same? Oh,
Yes, Rona. So that's a really good question, Bennett. I'm sorry I didn't get to that portion of your call. So the state board should be setting the priorities for how to use those recaptured funds through statewide activities. So there is a list of activities that the state has to do, and then there's a list of activities that the state is allowed to do. But that does need to be a discussion of ultimately the board, whether that starts in a particular committee or not, to kind of do the hands-on dirty work. But how that statewide funding is being spent, whether it's initial statewide funding or reallocated funds, does need to be a discussion of the board and be at the direction of the board.
Good to know. Thank you.
Doug, did you raise your hand? Or were you waving?
I have to go. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doug.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chair, let me circle back with SAFL, and the reason why we have it at the committee level is that we don't have to have another meeting with open sunshine laws provisions and that sort of thing. So that's why we wanted to insert this particular training, because this is the committee that will be vetting that. So we may need to do another one after the August 22nd one, before even maybe a couple of months even before the October or November quarterly board meeting, Chair.
I mean, I think it would be important, you know, to have Vice Chair Knox here to
Yes.
go through and see during a committee meeting. So can we, you know, plan on having that delivered at the next performance management committee
Yes.
meeting? Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Vanette, is there a way, I know that moving forward, you know, you guys are looking at, for instance, this recaptured funds that Rona was talking about. I know how it's been done is different than how it may be done in the future. Is there a way to have someone who's involved in that process currently to be able to give you guys some sort of update on what you guys were doing with statewide activities? And that way you guys have some sort of clue, like how that money, I know you just saw the report of how much money was spent, but maybe some sort of like qualitative report on what that money was spent on. And so you guys know what kind of services were provided.
Actually, I do have that. Lena, in fact, is here. And Lena is the person at ASO who has been very diligently providing us with the reports. Lena, do you remember that report you had given me that had what PY 2021 was spent on? I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot here, but we're trying to just have a modicum of understanding for the recaptured funds. Remember how?
Yes, I should be able to provide the more detailed information on how we spent the PY21 recaptured funds.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up. Because Lena gave me that report. Let's see. Hang on, Chair. Sorry about this.
No problem. Thank you.
Because
Another
Melissa brought
thing-
it up.
As Vanette is looking for that, that we talked about, is potentially doing some sort of like Hawaii wish list, for instance. So in the unfortunate situation that you guys would have recaptured funds, and I think we're going to be moving away from that, but maybe have some things that you guys as a committee would love to see for the state of Hawaii. And that way, if it does happen, you guys are prepared. So I think those conversations can happen, you know, or start happening well before we're potentially in that situation.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question? Melissa, is there any cheat sheet on what the funds can be used for? I know we can read the whole provision, but or can be or cannot be used for.
Yeah, yes and no. So yes, there are a list of activities that are in the regulations, but as you guys know, with Department of Labor, sometimes those are gray. But we could definitely put together a list of things for you that other states have used their statewide activity monies on. You know, there have been things, for instance, like updating their customer management system. So updating that system for the entire state using it for performance. So for instance, there's a product called FutureWorks. It's a really good interactive product for performance. If you guys don't have that, that would be something. The state of Missouri used some of those funds for a resume program, like a resume writing software for their entire state. So again, it provided and benefited the customers in each of the local areas. It was just done at a statewide level. But yes, Rona, I can get that to Bennett and then this committee.
Yeah, that would be helpful, Melissa. I think, thank you, Rona, for bringing that up. And we heard that at the training. So thanks for the reference to FutureWorks. But if possible, on this cheat sheet, if possible, to include the programs and then the recaptured category. If there is, something that we could easily reference back to, that would be really helpful.
Yep, for
Okay,
sure.
thank you.
Almost there, Chair, sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Almost there. I know
In the
she sent it
meantime-
to me last week, yeah. Sorry, I have so much emails. Because this was really helpful. And when I saw it, I didn't have a chance to share it with the Youth Services Committee because of the timing, but I know it was.
Also, Bennett, can myself and Sean, would we be able to review the reports also?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I got it. I think you might find this very interesting. Okay, here you go. Can you see it? This is for youth only.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure Lena can do the same for the other sectors as well. But for the youth recaptured funds for PY 2021, Oahu we had a total of about 602,000 that was turned over to the state as part of recaptured funds. And these were what was spent. So as you can see for PY 2021, there was no extra. So Geographic Solutions is a how do you call that, IT company. So we had a Future of Work conference, data validation, Guild Consulting was for our strategic planning. I don't know what Going Home Hawaii is. Insight Public Sector, not sure what that is. Is Ready to Work. Carol, are you still here? What is Ready to Work?
Sorry, I'm not familiar with that program.
Okay. And then travel, training, and summer youth for 96,000. Summer youth is a program that we have. It's an excellent program where high school students come to DLIR and experience what it's like to work in this environment. So for 602,000, that was how it was spent. We're hoping to have this similar information maybe for the executive committee. Yeah, Lena. This is valuable.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rona, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks. But to the note that Melissa had about getting together with the folks that are doing recaptured funds right now, I think we are in the process of trying to do that and establishing some protocols, because I think it needs to be something that maybe a smaller committee needs to vet and then provide some guidance. So here's where we're a little unclear. It's still ambiguous. In fact, I have a question to the U.S. Department of Labor. Considering that our responsibility as of July 1st, 2024, as an administrative entity started, are we needing to, how involved should we be for the PY 2022 and PY 2023 funding, because that was still under the aegis or the administration of Workforce Development Division. My understanding from Anthony is that no matter how those funds are discerned or distributed, the board still has to bless it, or the insights need to be solicited. So I guess we're in that process right now of exactly how that process and protocol should be. And then, but we'll make sure that, SAFL will be able to provide the technical assistance. So we are going to still be in compliance.
Okay.
So I know that for PY 2024, for sure, we have a little bit more, it's within the wheelhouse that we have. But for PY 2022 and PY 2023, considering we were still not the administrative entity at that time, to what extent should the board be involved in determining the disposition of those funds is what I'm saying. At the very least, though, they need, I think whoever is discerning and determining the disposition of the funds must still go to the board for information and perhaps a blessing.
Yeah, Bennett, I think that you're right. Ultimately, those funds are going to be spent post 7/1/2024, regardless of who was in charge, quote unquote, when they were originally allocated. So that doesn't alleviate the board in its responsibility in any way, regardless of the WDD and WDC conversion or switch. The board still has responsibility, but I mean, that discussion definitely needs to happen, because whoever's in charge when the funds are being spent now, which would be post 7/1/2024, that needs to be considered.
Right. Yeah. So thank you. Appreciate the clarity there, because again, it was still unclear and ambiguous, I think, but SAFL provided the information and the necessary expertise so that that could back us up and ensure that we are all in compliance. Okay, any other
good.
questions, Chair?
No, none for me. Anybody else? Okay. With that, I think, Bennett, if we wanted to, the public or anybody attending can comment or announce upcoming events that were not included in the agenda. We cannot discuss or act on the issues, but if anything wanted to be raised, please feel free to do so. I think the main thing is, Bennett, to nail down that quote unquote training 201 for the performance management committee.
Yes.
And then we'll be socializing that meeting as soon as we can get the training date set. Otherwise, if nothing, I can thank everybody for the participation, and if no further business, can adjourn the meeting at 11:11 a.m. And thank you, everybody, and thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Bennett and Ken, everybody. See you soon. See you all
Thank
very
you.
soon. Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Aloha.
Aloha.